Hi everyone, hope you're doing really fine. The title of this video is going to be You Can't Create Perfection When You're Imperfect. And this is on the back of a conversation I had with my cousin, who is, I wouldn't say an atheist, I wouldn't say creationist, say right between the two. So we're talking about planetary bodies, Big Bang Theory, all that kind of thing. And he argued that obviously there is no God. And so all of that would have occurred by the Big Bang Theory. So I said, okay, then, this Big Bang Theory that you're suggesting, right? There had to be an infusion of energy. Where did that energy come from? So obviously, he couldn't answer that. I don't really think that atheists give a great answer for that one. Why can't you recreate the Big Bang Theory on Earth and get all the symmetry of planets around the sun? Why can't you do that in like a small scale, but at least provide evidence that during an explosion of that nature, you can get symmetry? And this is why I said to him, I'm sorry, Stephen, but you can't get perfection if you're imperfect. And we are imperfect. So we're not capable of achieving that level of perfection. And that is what would be required for something so complicated that we can't even comprehend. I mean, even the scientists today, they propose that they know how everything started up, and they'll do everything they can to provide a man-made answer when simply there just isn't one. I've tried to explain this to Stephen before, and I've said, look, Stephen, I know you don't believe in God, but it's almost as if the Creator has handpicked all the planets, the sun, everything. He's handpicked them all and he's placed them all into their perfect relative positions. And I says, and that's another thing, Stephen, perfection is relative. The same as what happened in the Garden of Eden. It's relative. They were only perfect while they were not being tested. As soon as they were tested, this perfection that they professed that they had came under a different dynamic. And so I said, once God had touched the solar system with his hands, placed Pluto here, Jupiter, Saturn, Sun, gave them all that spinning axis that was required for, in the case of the Earth, to sustain life. Once he'd done all that, what did he do? He stood back and he admired his handiwork. The Bible tells us, and everything was good. That is almost like a master designer who is really, really proud of something that he's created that he knows is absolutely perfect for the job. And that's what I try to explain to him. I says, it can't happen by accident. You just can't recreate that. He says, oh, if they did try to recreate it, they would probably end up, blowing themselves up. I says, they're not meant to recreate it. We're imperfect, Stephen. Totally imperfect. Everything we touch, it just goes to kaput, doesn't it? You might pat yourself on the back at times with a particular invention, think you're really clever. But basically, Stephen, I said, everything that humans touch never lasts. It might have some use for some time, but it never lasts. And you don't get that with the Creator. Once he touched that solar system, once he put everything into spin, into motion, and then stood back and admired what he'd just done, which I respect the Creator for, because I'm a perfectionist, and if I'm doing something in the engineering field and I've done a really good job, I look back at my work and I go, I'm really proud of myself because I've been able to figure that out. And other people have come, other engineers have come, and they've not been able to do it. and I've been able to achieve it. And I do stand back sometimes and think, how did I do that? Of course, in God's case, he won't have to do that. He won't have to say, how did he do that? He knows exactly how he did it. Uh, Now, you might see a picture behind me that says Marty Seeks the Truth live streams. Well, this is just something I'm contemplating, but I actually have the vMix 4K version, and I can have up to 8 live stream guests, yeah, up to 8. So it's something I'm thinking about doing in the future. I can give you the best possible resolution, far better than any of the other live streamers out there. I can probably achieve 1080p on your cameras. At the moment, I'm in 1080p. I don't want to go into 4K. I could do. I will do a demonstration one day and show you that. But for now, I think 1080p, if you was doing a live stream, it holds up. You can say what you need to say. You can hear from all your live stream guests. You can achieve a very high level of live stream service, and you don't actually need to touch the 4K. But the vMix Max edition that I've got is the top one. I didn't go over to the other live stream service, although I tried it out. I just previously I told you that vMix is quite user friendly, and after a while, it just sort of fits into your personality, and that's what happens. So, like I say, people, I am a creationist, yes. Stephen says, but you're not even open for me to explain to you an explanation about the 10 plagues of Israel. I said, look, Stephen, I says, I heard your explanation about how you think that the waters on the Red Sea parted. You thought it was a natural tsunami occurred at that point. I said, but Stephen, both walls. When have you ever known a tsunami to hold up both walls of water? No, Stephen, I says, you're clutching at straws. You do everything you can to deny the existence of God, but you can't explain how those walls held up like that, maybe 100 feet of water either side. And of course, you know for a fact that Ron Wyatt has gone to the Moabi beach, the Gulf of Aqaba on the Red Sea, and he sent his divers down and they found Egyptian chariot wheels and they've taken pictures. So they're down there, Stephen. They're down there. That's historical proof that a battle took place. He says, I'm not denying a battle didn't take place. I'm just saying that the 10 plagues have a scientific explanation. I said, yeah, I heard you one about the Nile turning red. You said it was a result of an infestation of crocodiles. Yeah, Stephen, yeah, really. No, I'm sorry, but I will remain a creationist because for me, um, even if you don't use the word faith, you know, the assured expectation of things hoped for and yet not perceived, even if you don't use that, it's much better to have something to look forward to. Whereas I feel that if I was an atheist, I'd have nothing to look forward to, so I'd live my life now and I'd get as much as I could out of it, you know, like the Greeks do, the Epicurean philosophy, if you've heard that one. Eat, drink, sleep for today, for tomorrow you may die. That's not me. That's not me. I've always believed that there is much more to this life than we are currently in. This is not the real life. There is something better. And I think that what is better is all going to be borne out with the book of Revelation. A lot of people don't understand Revelation. There are things about it that are symbolic, quite a lot of it. But if you're a real deep thinker and spiritual person, you need to delve into it. All I know is that we're still not in the woeful period yet. Wait for that to happen. Right, have you noticed how you've got Jesus Christ on this side, and then you've got a solitary. Well, let's just call him an elder, a brother, right? So you've got the humility of Christ, right? And he's just there. Well, this is what I have. This is what I have for you. Just me. I am the Word. I am the Word. But then you've got your evangelizers, if you want, on that side, who have to refer to a book for something that Jesus just does naturally, completely natural. Yes, but there's a time difference between when Jesus were on the earth and when evangelizers today are preaching. So they're drawing comparisons, if you like, because obviously they don't or they can't imagine what it would be like to have walked with Christ, literally walked with Christ. So they are spiritually walking with Christ, aren't they? If you know where I'm coming from on that one, and that's what how we were, weren't we? We were brought up that way. We spiritually walked with Christ. We didn't literally walk with Christ. That's not to say that some of us wouldn't love to have gone back in time. We're talking to Stephen about this as well, and we were talking about if we could go back in time. There are so many things that we would like to witness. Obviously, I would want to witness the Israelites leaving Egypt and what they got up to, and he mentioned things that he wanted to witness so that he'd have closure on all these secrets. And I said to him, "Don't be surprised, Stephen, if we get into the closeout period of this system and everything that me and you have got a huge question mark on at the moment is answered." I have a feeling that that's what God would want. He'd want everybody to have full closure and know that quite possibly the ruler of this system had deceived them for thousands and thousands of years. Well, certainly ever since the Garden of Eden. And obviously after the antediluvian period as well, when humans started up again after they came out from the flood to start a new world. And we still have that rainbow, the rainbow that tells us that God is not going to flood the world again, but he is going to find another means. I don't know what the other means is yet. Nobody knows. So it was an interesting conversation. I always have very, very in-depth conversations with Stephen. We're a bit worried about him at the moment. He's going through a bit of a bad time. And after we had this like huge debate, he came back in because he just nipped out, and then he came back into the room. He said, "Look, man, I'm really sorry that I went into one." And I says, "Oh, you don't need to apologise. I love a debate. I love people to shout things. If we was all the same and we all agreed, it would be terribly boring." And so I left it at that. And I think that's the purpose of my channel. It's so that anybody can say anything and anybody can make a comment on anything that they feel. I don't expect to be liked by everybody. I just don't think that's quite possible. I just think it's important that you always do a video as to how you emotionally feel. How does it sit well with you? The things that you say, if you believe it, and 10 others don't, but maybe one does. It doesn't matter, does it? If it's coming from your heart, the things that you say, then I believe that it needs to be said. Now, I'm thinking in the near future, once I set up the VMAX live streams, I'd like to hear from people that were born into the Jehovah's Witness religion. I really want to hear if what they've gone through is probably similar to what I'd gone through. It would be nice just exchange a few thoughts and ideas on that front. because I was, in a lot of ways, forced to go to meetings when I didn't want to, you know, and I'm sure that a lot of you were as well. Yeah, it wasn't great to be forced and threatened with Armageddon and stuff like that when you were a kid. It's going to have a bit of an impact on you and leave that heavy footprint, which I have spoken to in the past in great detail about the heavy footprint of indoctrination. It does not go away easy. It's still on me, I admit that. Even Stephen and me, we discussed that there are some uh, stains, some smudges and blemishes that probably will never leave me for everything that I've gone through. And so if I do get my stream up and running, peeps, it would be like me sending you an invitation, and you don't have to obviously come onto the stream. It's purely up to you. But then we can just discuss things, and maybe we can help each other as well along the way. If you don't believe in God anymore, that's fine by me. If you've gone completely the reverse of that and you become an atheist, you can explain that one to me. I'd be very happy for you to do that. And so that concludes this video. Now, I started this video off with that thought, didn't I, that perfection is not something that humans are able to achieve. They can, yes, they can get relative perfection. Something that, how do I explain relative perfection? Right, well, as a sound engineer, and I've done sound engineering before, if you set a PA system up in a particular venue, you get a perfect sound for that singer. But that is only relative perfection for that venue. If you go to another venue the next day and you use the same settings, you're not going to get that perfect audio that you had previously because the dynamics have changed. And that's how I explain how Adam and Eve sinned against God. The dynamics changed, and so they were no longer able to count themselves as relatively perfect. Or no, the answer is they were no longer to consider themselves perfect for their environment. They then became just relatively perfect. That's the explanation. Because the serpent did what he did, changed the dynamics. And he's very clever at doing that. So I'll bid you all good day for now. Christ Jesus. Solitary elder giving a talk. Was that elder ever you? See y'all.